Hi guys, Molly here from Refuse to Sink Fitness. Welcome to the video all about the A1 water rower, which is my rowing machine of choice. So I'm just going to run through the parts on the machine to kind of give you an idea of what they do and how we're going to use them in the workout. If this is not the machine you use, then this video is probably not necessary for you to watch. But if it is, then let's start talking about what we have in this machine. So the first part I want to talk about is the tank. There's not much to say about it. It is a plastic tank that holds our water with the blade that runs through it, which provides our resistance. So we won't really talk about the tank, but obviously it is a very essential part of the machine. The next thing is this piece of wood right here. This is called the top deck that the strap runs on top of. The only time that we will talk about this is when I'm discussing or coaching the length of your stroke. So what often happens is that people will pull the handle and their brain sort of wants to stop right here at the holder. And that's really shortchanging your stroke. So I will mention kind of reaching over the top two screws with your stroke each time that we come back into the machine. And so these are those two screws that I'm talking about. Just thinking about lengthening beyond it to give yourself that full range of motion. Then we come on down the machine. We've got the handle here, handle or handlebar, whichever you want to call it, and then the holder that it slides under. Pretty simple. And then we've got this big piece of wood here that is called the footboard, which is really where all the magic happens. This is where our foot stretchers are. So I'm going to show you that real quick and how to adjust them to make sure that they fit your foot. So if you need to make them bigger, you just lift this and slide it down until the little plastic tab comes into the hole, or to make it smaller, you slide it up. And the way you know if it's the right size is when you put your foot in and your foot is seated all the way down into this heel cradle. This strap should go across the widest part of your foot, which is the base of your pinky and the base of your big toe. If it doesn't, then you take your foot back out and adjust this, sliding it down or up until it hits that point. Just know that sometimes there's not a perfect fit. You'll be in between two holes and you just have to choose which one feels better. Getting out of the foot stretcher is sometimes a little bit of an issue, so let's go over that real quick. It's quite simple. All you have to do is see this plastic tab right here. I'm just going to push it out. Usually the thumb's kind of the easiest way to do that. Push it out. I don't have to touch the strap at all. Just push that and it's loosened it already. So then what I'm going to do is slide my foot up to get out of this heel cradle, because if I just try to pull out, it's going to stick to my shoe. So I've got to slide my foot up toward the holes. See, now I've cleared that, and then pull back out. So it's really simple, but sometimes people get confused and feel like they're trapped inside the foot stretcher, which we don't want. All right, the next important part, and actually the most important part of this machine, is the console, and that is also found on our footboard. So on the A1, the power button is this circle right here. So I'm going to hit that and the console comes on. And let's talk about, kind of break it down and talk about the three different sections that we have on here. This top section keeps track of everything that's happened for the entire workout. So we've got our total time here, total meters rowed, and then total calories. Keep in mind that on most workout equipment, the calories are calibrated for a 5'10", 150-pound man. So if you happen to be that exact size, then this may be a proper calorie count for you. I am not that size, so that is not going to be accurate for me, and I just use it basically as a, if I use it at all, I use it as a gauge to kind of determine how I worked from day to day. So one day I may burn 400 calories, the next day I burned 450, and I know I worked a little bit harder in that workout, but I don't take that number and decide that it's accurate and that I have now the right to eat something more or anything like that. Nothing crazy like that. So just use it as kind of a point of reference, but not necessarily anything very accurate. The next section is this middle section right here, and this is the most important. This is kind of the moneymaker section. This is where all our data is that we're going to use as we row. This biggest number here is your stroke rate. It's called strokes per minute, and it's literally telling us how many times per minute we stroke. So I'm going to show you that as I pull this handle, and it's all about the movement of the handle because the handle is attached to the blade in the water. So obviously I'm not really rowing right now, but you can see that that number has gone up. I'm rowing 22 strokes per minute right now. So that number is important sometimes because we will often do a class where we need to row all together, where we're simulating working as a crew, as a team. So we will stay together at a certain stroke rate that I would give you. So that's important then. It's also important if we're trying to work on our split time, which I'm going to talk about in a second, and we want to know what our split time is at a certain stroke rate. So that's another time that we would name that stroke number that I wanted you to be at. And sometimes we'll do different challenges where we stay under a certain stroke rate. We don't go crazy fast with the stroke, and we have to work on our power. So that's an important number. It's not the most important number on the console. We'll get to that in a second. This next number I want to talk about is the top one right here, the 2 zeros. It says miles per hour. Rowing is not measured in miles, it's measured in meters. This is actually really only here because this is a piece of exercise equipment, and all exercise equipment has a miles per hour on it. So some people might want to compare that they did 8 miles per hour on a treadmill and they're doing 14 miles per hour on the rower. I'm literally picking those numbers out of the air. They don't mean good or bad, so don't hold them with you and think, oh no, I didn't make 14 miles per hour like she said. I just pulled those out of the air. They are not important, and I will probably never refer to the miles per hour section at all. It is a way that you can keep track of how hard you're pushing. So it goes up. The higher it goes, the faster your boat is theoretically moving. But again, it doesn't move in miles. It moves in meters, so it's not really an important number. But the most important number, let's get to it. The most important number on this console is this lower number right here, 3 zeros, time per 500 meters. It is called your split time. That is how rowing is measured, is how fast your imaginary boat would move 500 meters if you rowed at the same stroke rate. So remember the stroke rate. If you rowed at that stroke rate and had the same pressure. So basically, split time is made up of how quickly our bodies are moving, how quickly we're rowing, and then how hard we're pushing into this footboard, how much pressure we're using to drive the boat across the water. So the lower this number is, the faster our boat is moving. So our goal is to get it down low. The stroke rate is one way that we can change the split time. So if I'm rowing at 24 strokes per minute and I want to lower my split time, I may just speed up my strokes per minute and take it to 26 or 28 strokes per minute. But at some point, I will not be able to speed that stroke up and maintain a proper form or an efficient stroke. So my second way, and the actually better way to lower my split time, is to use more pressure. So I can row at 24 strokes per minute and decide, you know what, I need my split time lower. I want my boat to move faster. I'm going to stay at 24 strokes per minute, but I'm going to push harder with every stroke. And that is something that we will work on as we go. We will have many challenges like that, and you will begin to understand what split time is. And it's also a really good way just to kind of judge your progress. You may find that over a course of a few weeks, you drop a few seconds on that split time. If we do a 250 meter push, maybe you get it done a couple seconds faster because your split time is lower. So we'll go through that. If it doesn't make sense now, that's fine. It will make sense later. And then this very bottom section here is what we use when we're going to use a set distance or a set time to race or just to keep track of how long we've been rowing in a certain section. So if I want to time a rowing section and see how many meters I can get just for that time, I'm going to hit this little Mickey Mouse alarm clock right here. And the 30 seconds comes up, and I can hit this up arrow and take it up to the set number of minutes that I want to go, or I can take it back down. So if I wanted to row for 5 minutes, you'll see right here it's going to click, beep actually, and the 0 is going to come up over on that other side. You see that there now? So now it's ready. The machine is ready to time for 5 minutes and tell me how many meters I row in that amount of time. So when I'm ready to go, I'll hit the start button, which is that center, that same power button. I'm going to hit the start button. Nothing happens until I start to pull the handle, and then you will see the clock goes down, the meters start to go up, and it's now keeping track of how many meters I row in 5 minutes. That is useful because we will do that kind of drill many times, and you may keep track of that and say, okay, I did however many meters, let's say 1,000 meters in 5 minutes today, and then 3 months from now you end up doing 1,200. So it's just that's a huge jump, but it's just a way to gauge progress, and then for us to be able to do drills and races and things like that. And then the other way is if we want to do it based on meters. So that's when we hit this little button that looks like a road right there, and it immediately comes to 50 meters, but I can use my arrows to go up or down again. So if I wanted to say that we were going to do a 250 meter push or a race, or see how quickly we could get 250 meters done, I would set it. It comes over to the 0 clock when it's ready. And then when I'm ready to go, again, nothing happens till I hit this start button. I'm going to hit it and then pick up the handle, and you'll see the clock starts ticking and the meters start going down. So I will row until this meter number over here hits 0, and then I'm done with that total distance. So that is kind of how we'll do races, how we'll keep track of your 250 meter split time, or your total time that it takes you to row a certain distance, or how many meters you get in a certain amount of time. So that's where that will be. And then this middle section will be sort of our data that we use with us the entire time we're rowing. Top section you might refer to at the very end of your workout just to kind of see what was done. So beyond that again is the most important part of the machine, the console. Beyond that, we've got the track, and then we've got the seat that we sit on. And that's really about all that there is on this machine. If anything is confusing, hopefully it'll make sense as we go, but feel free to comment or question on this post, and I will answer as best I can. And that's about it, and we will see you for our next workout. Have a great day.